Hi, Scrapbook.com friends. I'm so excited to be here. This is Nicki Baxley. I'm at Nicki Hearts Cards on all social media, and today I'm bringing you a fun Christmas in July card. We're going to do some stenciling, we're going to do some die cutting, we're going to do some ink blending. While we are doing these things, of course, I'm going to share some tips and tricks to make things easier, but also just some inspiration to get you started on making your holiday cards now so you're not super stressed out at the end of the year. It's always a good idea to make a few earlier in the year. It just makes you feel more accomplished and less stressed when you're trying to get those last few completed. So, to start today's card, I decided that I want to do kind of an out of the normal range of colors. I love pink snowflake cards, and if you've seen any of my other work, you know that I really love doing pink cards. So, today we're going to create a pink background with Catherine Pooler inks. We're going to start with cotton candy, and we're going to put that all over this panel. Now, as you start to see this take shape, you can start to see the pink, and cotton candy is a very light pink. So we're just covering the whole area. We're going darker from the edges towards the inside. And I'm going to use the next level. So when you look at Catherine Pooler inks, they have different levels of ink. And so cotton candy is the lightest of this color family. The next one is called It's a Girl, and we're going to do that one around the edges. And then later on, we will definitely bring in, if we want it to be any darker on those edges, we can always bring in the third level, which is called Party Dress. So right now we'll go with It's a Girl, and we'll pull this in from the sides, and then we'll go ahead and look at the stenciling. I just want you to see generally what I'm doing is creating a darker outline with a center that has more light. And this just gives you a nice focal point. Our die cut will be in that kind of focal area. So I want to make sure that I make that really stand out. It just makes your card kind of pop. Now I'm using a sticky mat here, so when I add my stencil, and you see that I'm a little bit picky about where I'm going to put my stencil, I want to make sure that I see the snowflakes that I like the most in the direction that I want. So once I'm ready to lay this down, depending on how I lay the stencil down, there is a sticky mat on each side. Sometimes I still have to add a little bit of tape if I'm kind of off center, but you see how that is. So like it moved a little bit because there's not much that can stick on that right side. So I'm going to have to use a little bit of tape or decide how I'm going to stick this down. So I grab my handy dandy Scrapbook.com mint tape, and I tape down the edges that need it. Sometimes I'll even tape down a corner just to be safe. This is such a detailed stencil, and we're going to be using this Cloud Whip, which is a very thick mixed media paste. It's like clouds basically. It's very nice, very thick. I am going to add some things to it. One, to make it a little bit thinner, but two, to give it a little bit of sparkle. You can sprinkle glitter on the top, but I'm going to use the Pops liquid dots, and I'm going to add some glittery of those and mix it up. So I'm using this Pops of Color Glitter Snowflake, and I did quite a bit, but I didn't know how much I was going to need for my stencil, so I did a lot, and I really wanted some glitter to kind of show through. I'm using an acrylic block here to mix it on. You can mix it in anything, but I just kind of fold it in into the thing, so just kind of folding, mixing, and it does make it a little bit thinner, so it's a little bit easier to get through these detailed stencils, but it also gives it that beautiful glitter effect. Here's what it looks like up close. It's really hard to catch the glittery sparkle to it on camera. But now I've got my stencil all ready. We already taped that down, and I've got my sticky mat so I can move it back into place and start adding some of this to the top of the stencil. And you'll see I'm just putting some of it here, but I'm mainly going to use my Scrapbook.com scraper, which is my favorite in all the land. It's a definitely must-have if you like stencils. It just really fills it in, and you can just pass a couple scrapes over, make sure you've got everything, and I feel like it really helps you save some of your mixed media stuff too, because it really does not take a whole lot, and it covers the whole page. Okay, let's look at how good this looks. Okay, we're going to reveal the stencil, and then I'm also going to show you how easy it is to get that mint tape off of a sticky mat. It is not made to stick to it, so you don't have to worry it's going to leave any remnants. And then to get this off, I did use a little spatula. You could also just bend the sticky mat and kind of pop it off. But I did this, and then you definitely want to wash your sticky mat off and set this aside to dry because that stuff the cloud whip and everything does dry solid. So make sure you wash it off of your stencil and of your mat. Next, we're going to use these shape dies. This is the shape dies bear, and he comes with a little Christmas hat, which is so cute. So I'm going to cut all of these out of white, and we're going to use ink blending to create an amazing look. Now, I tried to organize my ink blending based on the colors because one, it keeps you from having to clean your mat off. But two, if you got something else on this sticky mat that's also going to be brown, if you mess up, it really does help if it's the right color. So we're going to start with Catherine Pooler's Sandcastle, and we're going to do our bear in this color. Those things in the left top corner, that's his belly, his feet, and his nose. And we're going to go a little lighter than that on those. We're going to use some buttercream, but I'm generally doing the same idea to create dimension where I come in dark from the edges and then I'm going lighter towards the middle of this little bear just to make it look like he is kind of shining from within. So when you're doing your ink blending, really thinking about how you're doing the ink blending can make a difference in how your image looks. Thinking about where you want the light to be. For me, the light in this card is in the center. I love that spotlight look. So everything goes darker from the outside towards light in the center. So now I've adjusted pieces to grab my parts that are going to be a little bit lighter. So we've got the feet, the nose, and the belly. And I'm going to color these in quickly with buttercream, not worrying too much about shading because we're going to come in with another color to do that. Okay, so once we've got these colored with buttercream, we're going to come in with that same sandcastle color, and we're going to use this little brush from Scrapbook.com. It's got a little round head, and that helps us get smaller amounts of ink kind of right up to the edges. So I'm going to take this, make sure I don't have too much, and I'm going to come up and do the edges of the feet. And I know this is hard to see. I'm going to try to zoom in and see if you can tell the difference, but it really does make a difference on these little pieces. After getting the belly done, I decided to go around this bear with just the slightly darker color Macchiato, and I used one of those little detail brushes just to give it more of that spotlight look. Now for the scarf and the hat, I wanted to make this closer to a red color, but still in the same color family. So I'm going to color it in with cotton candy. Then we're going to jump up to my favorite color, which is party dress. And you see these dots on the ink pad. That's because I just refilled it, so I'm being careful not to get too much ink. But I'm going to use a Waffle Flower shader brush, and we're going to come in with this color, kind of like we're painting across. It's got a little flat head, and it just helps you lay color down. So I'm going to do that with both of these items in the same way, and just keep building the color up. I do want to leave a nice spotlight in the middle, so I'm not going to bring this all the way. I'm bringing this color about 2/3 of the way in, and that way I'll have that little third of something else. Here's how our scarf is looking. It still looks pretty pink, so we're going to bring in Rockin' Red with an even smaller shader brush. I believe this one is a shader number 2. And you see how I'm just adding it to the edges? I'm going to keep doing that and building up the color, and then these little pieces will be done. And let's look at how we do our sentiment. So the sentiment in this card is an ombre effect, and I'm going to show you an easy way to create that. And with big, bold Christmas stamps, it really makes a huge difference and also makes that amazing focal point on the card if you do some coloring on your sentiment. And here's how it looks finished. So I'm going to continue and finish coloring all my little pieces. And let's move on to the sentiment. I'm going to use this very large Merry Christmas from this stamp set. To make this easier, I'm going to be using the Altenew stamp wheel. That way you'll see it's a stamp positioning tool, kind of like a MISTI, where you put your plate over top, it picks up the stamp, and then you can flip that plate over, and that's how we'll work on our ombre effect. Just like ombre ink blending, this takes a little bit of patience, but it gives such a great effect. So we're starting off with cotton candy. I went direct to the stamp here, but I smoothed it out a little bit with a brush at first, and then this time I decided I did need it a little bit darker, so I went direct to the stamp. And then we're going to come in with some of those same blending brushes we've been using and add some different colors. The first color is Party Dress, which is that medium pink that I really love, and I'm using a large blending brush and just adding this to the stamp. And when I see what this looks like, I decide I'm going to go ahead and start getting into the reds. I wanted this to be closer to the look of the scarf for the bear, so I went on and did Rockin' Red, and I used that same little blending brush, and I'm starting at the edge of the stamp and brushing up, just like I did with the bear's scarf. And here's the effect that it gives. Let me bring it closer to the camera for you to see. So lovely. Okay, let's put our card together. To me, the easiest way to put a die cut together is to use the packaging. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fly through this so you can see the parts that we put together, and I'll re-mention the colors again. So we really only use two color families, the brown family, and then we also use the pink-red family. So pretty easy on the colors with this. Of course, all of them will be linked in the description for you. We'll add our sentiment, add our bear, and then check out this card. While I get you some up close photos and some project photos, make sure that if you haven't done it yet, that you hit the like and subscribe button. Everything used in this video will be linked in the description, so make sure to check that out there. And I hope to see you again on the channel. Have a great day. Bye.